Hey, I'm Cyclon, and today I'm going to share with you an update to my Legion farming strategy. Now, a lot of things have changed between week 1 and I think now week 3, week 4, time goes past, and the market has more or less settled. So I thought I need to update the strategy so that everybody that does enjoy Legion can farm it in its best state and make the most profit out of it while still having a ton of fun. For that, some adjustments needed to be done. Harbinger right now, in my opinion, as already mentioned in my big Mageblood video, I didn't think it's worth it. I didn't recommend it back then, and I don't recommend it now, because now we have something way more better that I wish I would have been aware of week 2 and week 1 already. Expedition is insanely profitable on a very stable basis. It's ridiculous how much I made with Expedition, and if you should reroll, you should use your rewarding currency for Danik and for Chujin. I get to later in the video. For now, on the spreadsheet, I assume you sell them. I'm going to give them a value, but in-game I'm going to show you my results as I have used them and give you in consideration my opinion if you should use them yourself. Alright, so we now have Legion and Expedition, but there's one more thing we can do. We can add Delirium, not Delirium Orbs, which I guess would also be profitable, but not as much as you would target focus them, but instead Mirror of Delirium to get those orbs and sell them for a profit. And the idea was that Mirror of Delirium shouldn't take any additional time. As the build is strong enough, you shouldn't feel a difference with and without Delirium on your maps. So I added to my maps, and Delirium as well has been pretty insane. I'm going to compare the separate things in a moment on the spreadsheet. But first, of course, how did we run the maps? What did we use on the maps? Before we take a look at the passive tree, we ran Dunes. We value Dunes at 4 chaos, and we used the Legion map device for 6 chaos. That much is already set. For our Scarabs, I decided to use Polished Legion Scarab, which to why I have to get to in a moment when taking a look at the passive tree. We then have Polished Expedition Scarabs, which are dirt cheap this league, Rusted Sulfite Scarabs, which are dirt cheap every league, and Polished Divination Scarab, which did went up in price, but still definitely worth its cost. We then used the additional Legion Sextant, the 100% increased Runic Monster Marker Sextant, the Mirror of Delirium Sextant, and the Gloom Shrine Sextant. Now if you want to, you can use the elevated Gloom Shrine, or you can use the normal Gloom Shrine. Using the elevated compared to the normal one will result in a few more additional speed shrines or the Spell Echo Shrines, which are nice to have, but we use this Gloom Shrine very specifically for Expedition. Because the way we want to run these maps is as following. We're going to run into the map, activate the Mirror of Delirium, let it spread out a bit. We're going to look if there's any shrine that isn't the Gloom Shrine that we can pick up quickly. Then we're going to pick up the Sulfite nodes because we have packed with energy. And we're going to run our legions. We're going to get our Delirium reward layer to 6. We're going to kill the map boss. We're going to end the Delirium. And then we're going to pick up the Gloom Shrine and run the expedition. This will result on a Tornado Shot Deadeye build with a reasonable investment, or with a higher investment. I ran these maps in like 4 minutes. If your build is a bit weaker, you maybe don't have a Mage Blood, you maybe have a weaker bow, you can drop the Mirror of Delirium to make it easier, or you can keep the Mirror of Delirium and you're likely going to have maybe 5-minute map, 4.5 minute to 5-minute map, and you should still be very fine. I will cover your expected results at 5-minute maps as well as 6-minute maps later when we get to the consistent and inconsistent drops. So with this, we have 30 quick maps, we take some time looting, and then we move on. By the way, if you're needing a loot filter for this, I have 3 loot filters on my profile. You can find a link in the description. Just copy the filter, follow the filter, and use them as you see fit. All 3 are updated now. Stage 1 is used for low investment strategies, when you still need a lot of bubblegum currency and setup currency, get some maps. But then stage 2 is for when you want to start target farming strategy, you want to pick up less and less loot. In stage 3 is when you really want very quick maps. You only see you sometimes see some unimportant loot, but I'm still fixing it, still updating it, still adjusting it. But stage 3 will result in very, very little being shown, and what you have shown is usually worth picking up with, again, some exceptions that I'm still fixing. So with this, we now have our Scarabs, Sextants, and how we run the maps, but most importantly, still missing, what is our passive tree? The passive tree looks as following. Now, going to cover it step by step and priority by priority. The most important thing, of course, is Legion. We have almost our usual Legion setup. We have Monumental, we have Chain of Command, Protected Battle, we have Constant Battle, we have War Supplies, and we have Logistical Support and Pillage Treasures. Now, some of you might notice, wait, I'm not using the Templar node, and I'm not using the Emblem Chance node, and I'm not using Emblematic. Why is that? Well, we don't care about it. That's a short answer. The long one is, with the current state of emblems, I don't think it's worth picking up bigger splinter stacks, and I don't think it's worth picking up emblems. Now, of course, you're going to make more theoretical profit by picking up emblems, but with them being, I think, 1 divine for 7 sets, soon likely going to be 1 divine to 8 sets, because Legion is just so good this league. A lot of people are farming it. You have very little value, and on top of that, because there is such a big supply, we're actually oversupplying them so much that it's even a hassle to sell them. At least as far as I've noticed, and as far as people told me. So I just removed them from my filter stage 3, I removed Emblematic from the tree. I maybe made a bit less profit, but I made definitely faster maps with this. Now, once we have our Legion nodes, of course, the next most important step is Expedition. We have Buried Knowledge, Scratching Up the Ground, a Noble Quest, as well as Ancient Writing, Distinguished Demolist, and using the keystone Extreme Archaeology. This results in your expeditions being one big explosion. You have a huge radius, and what I usually do is I stand in the middle of expedition, I hide everything because I haven't looted the map yet. I look where a lot of runic markers are, if there is any additional logbook drop chance. I try to do it like 10 seconds, place a thing, click on it, explode everything, grab the Gloom Shrine, kill everything. And yeah, that's really what everything there is to expedition. We don't need any chance nodes, we guarantee expedition, so we can even block it. So we just try to get expedition done as quickly as possible, get maybe some logbooks, getting some reroll currency, and we're good to go on expedition. Then we have Delirium, because we are guaranteeing Delirium as well, we can block it, which will result in more legions. because if it's guaranteed and blocked, we just don't have any chance of getting it, but the guarantees are already setting it to 100. We're going to use the points instead on compulsive fodder, getting chance for additional rewatch, which could be currency, could be resulting in divines, could be diviners, could result in stack decks, and we're going to pick up paranoid fixation over the lower nodes for the chance of getting additional delirium orbs, which definitely worked. I got a ton of daily orbs. And once we got that, it's time for some quality of life. Of course, we pick up the exarch nodes, so we get our shrines, which can give us things like, I don't know, awakened sextants, chisels, wall orbs, chaos, and of course getting lucky diff cards like a strategist, which did happen in my case. So seeing exarch in my opinion just still better than Eater of Worlds, so I like to pick that guy up. And then we have our quality of life nodes consisting of singular focus, of course, so we get our map sustain. We have packed with energy and mining byproducts, giving us a bit of Azurite, which we can use for selling 1 or 2 socket resonators and getting our additional zoom in our map. Then we blocking everything but Legion to get our Legion chance up as high as possible, and pick up Supplication and Syncretism to have shrines in our map, getting more buff effect, getting more duration from them, and just having, if we hit the Zoom Shrine or the Echo Shrine, Legion clearing feels so good. I love finding a Zoom Shrine in a map and just running the map in like a minute. Ridiculous. But yeah, the tree, nothing really special except dropping the emblematic and saving the node here, because if we don't care about emblems, we don't need to care about Templar. Which means we also can run polished and we don't need gilded Legion Scarabs, because then it's going to happen faster. We don't need the additional emblems or splinters from the bosses. Not having Templar means we see the Templar boss less often, meaning we have less die beams that suddenly appear on our screen or he doesn't disappear. Just overall nice quality of life improvement on the Legion. Now with this, let's finally take a look at what our expected returns are. As usual, I split up the expected returns in consistent and inconsistent. Now, inconsistent is something that we expect on average per map. The more maps you run, the more similar your consistent is going to look than mine, or maybe I got lucky and yours going to look even better. Or I got unlucky, yours going to look better, or I got maybe a bit lucky and yours going to look slightly worse. And then we have inconsistent, which is something that we expect to get dropped here and there, but not every map. And the more bulk you run, again, the more likely you're going to get the inconsistent returns somewhat consistently, as contradictory as it sounds. So, what do I consider consistent? Things like stack decks, chaos orbs, silver coins, awakened sextants, the exotic coins or bury medallions from expedition, the map sustain, exalted orbs, annulment orbs, and inconsistent are divine orbs, fortunate, black scythe mercenary logbooks, Knight of the Sun logbooks, and also I did consider the delirium orbs inconsistent because those fluctuate in value. Right now I've set them as a 15 chaos value, but this is assuming not an average value. Average would right now be 10 chaos, but people buy them in bulk for 15 chaos on TFT, or 14 to 15 chaos on TFT, and if you have enough of them, you can also do a listing, and you're going to get a good amount of big bulk price, because they buy them for, I think, 120, 130 of TFT price even. And this is why I considered 15 to be a reasonable value for Delirium Orbs, which is manual, everything else is automatic data, taken from TFT and from PoE Ninja, of course. Now, with this, assuming a 4-minute map, and assuming, because of our expenses, a 52 chaos cost per map, we are looking at a whopping 1.59 Divine's profit per hour as a minimum consistent basis. Now, this is nothing great yet, but just wait a moment, it gets more insane. Now, assuming we have our 4-minute maps, that's 1.59. But of course, my build is fairly good. Maybe you're not running as quick as I am. So let's say you take 5-minute maps. Well, you're only dropping a bit. 1.27 divines is still good. Now, let's say your build is better than mine and you're running even faster. We'll then be looking at 3-minute maps or 3.5-minute maps. Let's do 3.5. That's more realistic because loot time is still a thing. That's 1.82 divines a map with 3.5 minute maps, which I was able to get when I was running them focused and not chatting with somebody on my Discord, or not trying to just chill, watch a video on the side while I run the map. This was music on, map blasting, 3.5 minutes per map. But again, on a more leisure basis, on watching something on the side, 4 minutes, it's more reasonable. It's what I'm going to leave in here. But finally, there's one last thing. What if your build isn't optimized for Legion, but you still want to run Legion? How much can you expect then? Let's say you take a 6-minute map. That's still a divine baseline profit power. Now, this is good, but of course, if you run at this level of investment, your build should be set up for Legion. If your build isn't set up, maybe take a look at Legion Alc Vaal, which I covered in a previous video. But yeah, let's take a look over to consistent and inconsistent profit, which in my opinion is way more interesting. Actually, while I'm at it, I could also just zoom in so you guys can see it better. I'm sorry that I didn't thought about this earlier. So, now we have our Divine Orbs, which I got a whopping 13 of in 100 maps. Most of them being from Ornate Incubators, but some of them also being from Legion Chest or Legion Surgeons. But I think except one, everything has been from Legion. So what we learned from this, always open your Ornate Incubators and always open your Diviners Incubators, cause I also got an average of 14 stacked decks per map. Now, back to this. I then got 42 The Fortunates, 141 Delirium Orbs, 20 Black Scythe Mercenary logbooks, and 5 Knights of the Sun logbooks. So all of these in a 100 map basis you can expect a few of. Meaning that if we make this average value per map, we are looking at a 94 chaos profit per map. Adding this, so this is a profit you expect if you run 100 maps on average. If you run a 200 maps, this will be your average profit, which could still be higher. At week 1 I got way more divines than I got this time, so there is more profitability here. But running 4-minute maps with this will result in 6.11 divines an hour. Now again, you could be more focused, your build could be better. You could also make up to 7 divines an hour, or very close to 7 divines if you run them very efficiently. But if you run them less efficiently, if you take more time or your build is weaker, we'll be still looking at almost 5 divines an hour, 4.89. Or again, for builds that aren't optimized for Legion farming, maybe 6 divines, or just your looting takes a lot longer, maybe your filter isn't as strict, that's still 4 divines an hour on a lot of time per map. But with 4 divines being, with 4 minutes per map being 6 divines as a baseline, because this is not considering any notable drops, any lucky drops, any fractured items. It's not considering in the 1-socket resonators or 2-socket resonators we can get from Nico. This is not considering in turning in the Tujen coins to gamble on to haggle on Tujen, to reroll Danig. This is not considering any diff cards we can get dropped. This is not considering leveling gems. This is a baseline profit, and for that it's pretty insane. Now if we take a look over here, you're going to see that my profit is even more insane than this, because I did got some Scarabs drop, I got some notable drops, and for that I'm going to quickly head over to PoE Stack and in-game. Now if we take a look at PoE Stack and we take a look at the TFT bulk tool, I have a 90% multiplier, and right now this is 1136 chaos, so of course for fairness we're going to add that in here. They did drop. Fair enough, I'm going to adjust it. I want this to be as replicatable as possible. So we have over 1000 chaos worth of Scarabs. And this is 95% Legion. There, I think one was from Expedition, one rare that dropped a bunch of Scarabs. And I think a few random Scarabs in the map, but most of them being from Legion. And then I got a few notable drops. And to show that I tried to price this reasonably, let me head in-game. Apparently I lost connection. And take a look at my stash. Alright, so in my stash, this is Tujen, we're going to get to that later. Something that I consider a notable drop is the Incandescent Invitation. I know it's consistent, you're always going to get it after X amount of maps, but because maybe you run some strategies before it, maybe you run some strategies after it, it's not always starting at 0. Sometimes when you run the set of maps, it starts at 20, or maybe it starts at close to 1 and you get one drop. But because of this, I consider this a notable drop. I don't consider it a consistent or inconsistent drop. And these are right now 1 divine. So these are making 4 divines worth of my notable drops already. Then I had some other drops. I had 2 Patience, an Enhance, a Sephiroth, a Dragon's Heart, and an Imperfect Memory. Some interesting div cards dropped from the Seeing Exile altars. To these 2 we get into a moment. And then I got a few fracturing items dropped that might be worth 2 divines, might be worth less, might be worth 100 chaos. But because of that, I valued both fracturing items and notable drops at 5 divines. Now, if they don't sell, I will update this value. If we head over here, right now it's 5 times the divine value and 5 times the divine value. If it doesn't, if the fracturing items don't sell, or if the notable items sell for a bit more, I'm going to adjust the value so that it reflects the actual profit I made, so that again it's more replicatable. But right now we assume this, we assume 5 divines worth of notable drops and 5 divines worth of fracturing drops. Combining with the Scarab value, which I need to update here as well, so it is cohescent. Is this the right word? Anyway, I made 8.95 divines per hour based on running my maps at 4 minutes. Now I did had a phase of maps where I run them very efficiently, where I tried to be at my 3.5 minutes. So assuming this, I would have made a whopping 10 divines an hour if I would run all 100 maps at that scale. Now this is very tryhardy, this is very elitist, or whatever term you want to put on it. It is not recommended to run them at this level consistently, but if you want to, this is what you can make with the strategy, which makes this one of the top tier strategies this league as far as I'm concerned. Now back to 4 minutes, that's only 8.9 divines, which is still pretty insane. If you will say again, slower builds, of course, we want to cover those too. Based on just adding some notable drops, adding the Scarabs, on a 5-minute map basis, that's still 7 divines an hour. And on a 6-minute map basis, that's still 5.9 divines an hour. Which is still pretty good, considering that you can invest all in this, again, into the strategy, and on top of that, into your build to make it even better at farming this. So, we already established Legion is insane, and now we know Legion Expedition might just be, I guess Legion Expedition Delirium might just be the best iteration of the strategies that we've seen so far. Now with this, we can finally take a look at PoE stake to take a more approach on the actual result I've gotten. Because I did get a bit lucky. You could also say unethical lucky, which of course I will not include in the profit in this video. The title, the thumbnail, the spreadsheet, all will not include this. I'm going to show this to you now, but I'm showing this to you now so you know that I haven't included this in this. I've gotten so insanely lucky. I got an Apothecary dropped on Dunes from a Legion Sergeant with a Divination reward. And then I got a Fiend dropped, which I don't know if it was from a Divination card strongbox that randomly spawned, or it was from a Sergeant that was standing on top of it with a Divine reward, because I basically killed the mobs off it and the Sergeant at the same time. I don't know if this was from the strongbox or from Legion, but this is just my insane loot from Legion this mapping session. Again, they're not included, you can see them unticked. I will not tick them, I will not include them in the thumbnail, just insane luck, not replicatable. I can't justify including these in the strategy. Anyway, so other than that, I've gotten, including the 2-gen rerolling, 1,800 stack decks being worth 24 divines. I've gotten 13 war divines, I've gotten 4.8 divines worth of chaos. I got the Incandescent Invitation, I got a ton of logbooks, Awakened Sextant, Prime Chaotic Resonators from the mining byproducts. I got a ton of Fusings, Wall Orbs, Simulacrum, Steady Orbs. I've gotten 3 full sets of the Fortunate plus 1 half a set, so that's another 7 divines in div cards. It's just been insane. So, this is assuming everything in those tabs, everything from the 2-gen reroll, from my strat farming tabs and the map sustain, it says 90 divines in total value. Now if we remove all small stuff, that's still 80 divines. 100 map, 80 divines gain, that's pretty insane. Now I spent about, I think it was 20 divines, so that is a 60 divine profit, assuming this. But this is not including bulk selling. If I would sell the stack decks in bulk, I could likely get a bit more. If I would sell the currency in bulk, I could likely get a bit more. But because I'm going to sell this combined with the rest of my gear, with the rest of my stuff that I had from previous farming sessions, I can't get an accurate number on the actual value. So we're going to assume this 90 divines, we're going to assume this 80 divines, and that will be the assumption on the profit that I made totally farming this strategy. Now with this, let's finally take a look in-game, because there is one more thing I need to cover, of course. And that is it worth re-rolling, using your reroll currency? So what I did, I used up all my Danik. So he's here. I went in here. I entered Exotic, Sun, and Scythe. This highlighted only the Scythe logbooks, only the exotic coins, and only the Sun logbooks. And I clicked reroll in anything, and this row went bright. I bought it. And then I repeated the process until I had no more Delirium medallions. Then I went over to Tujen and I haggled with him, mostly for Awakened Sextants, stack decks, raw chaos, but I also grabbed some skirrings, some some regrets, some wall orbs, a few gem cutters blessed, a few fossils, catalysts, one prime chaotic resonator. So I just grabbed some small stuff on top. And then, of course, I got some logbooks from Danik. Now, if we take this tab and we evaluate just this tab from Tujen, that is about worth 2.7k chaos. Now, assuming I did about roughly 250 Tujen rerolls after I did my 100 Danik rerolls, I gotten a few more Tujen rerolls, I gotten a few logbooks, then I did all the Tujen logbooks, so let's assume those 250 times the 7 chaos it is. That is 1.7k. This means, I mean, let's make it more reasonable. 250 rerolls, let's say it's worth 8 chaos each because bulk. That is 2k chaos worth of Tujen rerolls, and I've made 2.7k chaos back. That took me about 2 hours to do all the Danik, all the Tujen rerolls, but I took it very leisurely. I was again chatting with buddies on Discord. I'm just sitting on my Discord on a public channel. If you want to chat, feel free to join, by the way. So I did my rerolling, I did it very leisurely, and I still made 700 chaos plus. And this was without a single divine in my Tujen reroll. So I got very unlucky on my Tujen rerolls according to my buddies on Discord. So this is, I think, definitely worth it. This is a minimum. What you can expect is a minimum 700 chaos gain for some rerolling, which I learned you can actually use a scrollboard, which makes it way more easier on the hand. So, and this is the result: a ton of chaos, a ton of stack decks, a ton of bubblegum stuff that we got for free on top, and then Danik giving all these additional logbooks. Definitely was worth it. If you want to spend the extra time, definitely do it. Rerolls from Tujen. If you feel like just selling them, you can always just sell them. You're still going to make a decent amount of base profit. Which brings me to the final part of this video. We need to compare our investment. So we had our expedition investment of 272 and 225 chaos. That is about 1k, right? 7, 9, yeah. Let's say this is 1k chaos. So we compare this to our exotic coins and Delirium medallions, because we ignore inconsistent drops for a moment. 1k chaos turned alone in 1.7k chaos. Whatever. 1.7k chaos with just the coinage and medallions. And on top of that, we made another 1.1k chaos with logbooks. Now, of course, logbooks can get unlucky. I've gotten 3 logbooks that were neither Black Sun, Black Scythe, nor Knights of the Sun. So this is just the logbooks that were those. I would say that's definitely pretty good result. Then we have the next question. So, sorry, words. Expedition, definitely worth it. Next question, Delirium. We spent 600 chaos in Mirror of Delirium and made 2.1k chaos in Delirium orbs. I didn't got any lucky clusters dropped. I didn't got any unique clusters dropped, so this is just that. This is ignoring the simulacrums, just the daily orbs. 2.1k chaos on 100 out of 600 chaos, 1.5k chaos profit. Ridiculous. And finally, we have our Legion. And Legion being the main source of Divine, so we spent a 1.3k, about 1.9, 2k chaos on Legion. And just in Divine Orbs we got 2.9k Divines. And then we got all the stack decks, all the chaos. It's ridiculous, what else can I say? Legion is profitable. If you aren't convinced, I don't know how else I can convince you. I can just show you those insane results. But yeah, all that being said, if I've forgotten anything, you have any questions, or you just want to chat, feel free to message me in the comment section, on Discord, over DMs, or over my appropriate channel on the, or designated channel on my Discord, or you can message me in-game. Sadly, I'm still not able to stream on Twitch currently. I will try to set it up properly for next league launch, so if you want to watch me stream, I'm just chilling on my Discord, usually in the evening, and streaming while I play in Path of Exile in a voice channel. All that being said, have a wonderful day, and I see you in the next video.